When we say one number is divisible by another number, we mean that when we divide the first number by the second number, we get a whole number, an integer number. In this example, we would get 55, a number that has no decimals, so this number is divisible by 2. Now, what are the most important rules for divisibility? I will show you all the divisibility rules from 2 to the number 10 and teach you an alternative way to see if a number is divisible by 4 and by 8. Okay, let's start with number 2. A number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even. So if we had, for example, a huge number we don't want to divide by 2, but we know it ends with 4, we can assure it is divisible by 2, because 4 is an even number. That thing would also happen with 6, with 8, with number 2, and with number 0. Very easy. This number over here is divisible by number 2, because the unit's number is even. However, 7777 is not divisible by 2, because 7 is not an even number. Let's go with number 3. A number, let's say 7,089,205, it's divisible by 3 if the sum of all the digits is divisible by 3. Now, in this number, we would have to sum 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 2 plus 0 plus 5, which equals to 31. 31 is not a number divisible by 3, and imagine we didn't know 31 wasn't divisible by 3. We could apply the same method to calculate if it's divisible by 3. Let's sum 3 plus 1, the sum of all the digits of 31, which equals to 4, and it's obvious 4 is not divisible by 3. So the first number over here, it's not divisible by 3. Let's look at another example. 20,175. If we add all the digits, we get 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5, which equals to 15. And we know 15 is divisible by 3, because 15 is 3 times 5. Therefore, this number over here is divisible by 3. Number 4. A number is divisible by 4 if
the number formed by
the last 2 digits is divisible by 4. In this case, 40 is divisible by 4, so this number is divisible by 4. But we can say 4 is equal to 2 times 2. So if we wanted to know if this number was divisible by 4, we could also say if this number was divisible by 2 times. Thus we could do 7,240 divided by 2 equals to 35,120. And this number, as it ends with a 0, which is an even number, it's divisible by 2. So we've divided the number 2 times by 2, and therefore it is divisible by 4. These two things are the exact same thing. You can use whatever you want, the easiest way, the quickest way, or if you could, a calculator. Nevertheless, 5,431 is not divisible by 4, because 31 is not divisible by 4. Let's go with number 5. A number is divisible by 5 only if it ends with 0 or with 5. For example, 235 is divisible by 5. 300 is divisible by 5, but 21,742 is not divisible by 5. Actually pretty easy. Divisibility rule of number 6. You all know that 6 is equal to 2 times 3. So if we want to know if a number is divisible by 6, we must just get if it's divisible by 2 and divisible by 3. And that would mean that the number ends with an even number and the sum of all the digits is divisible by 3. Let's see it with an example. 2160 ends with an even number and the sum of all the digits, 2 plus 1 plus 6, is 9. So it is divisible by 6. However, if we take for example 1349, the last digit is not an even number, and also the sum of all the digits is not divisible by 3. So 1349 is not divisible by 6. Another example, 1544. Although it accomplishes the first requirement, having an even as the last number, the sum of all the digits, 1 plus 5 plus 4 plus 4, equals to 14. And we know 14 is not divisible by 3. So 1544 is not divisible by 6. Let's get to the number 7. Let's take for example 3591. To check if a number is divisible by number 7, we should take all the number without having the last digit, and now we have to subtract to this number 2 times the unit digit. So we would subtract 2 times 1 equals to 357. Since we don't know if this number is divisible by 7, we will do the exact same thing. We take 35 and we will subtract from it 7 times 2 equal to 35 minus 14 equal to 21. And we know 21 is divisible by 7. If we had, for example, 3590, we would take this part over here and subtract 2 times the unit digit, having 359 minus 2 times 0, which equals 359. 35 minus 2 times 9, which equals 6. And we know 6 is not divisible by 7. So, the first number is not divisible by 7. Let's go with the number 8. A number is divisible by 8 if the 3 last numbers are divisible by 8. In this case, we would have to check if 222 is divisible by 8. The question now is, how do we do that? We will implement the exact same method we did with number 4. We will check if 222 is divisible by 2, and that number is divisible by 2, and that number is divisible by 2. Because when we do this, we are just dividing 222 by 2, and this by 2, and this by 2. And this is equal to divide 222 by 8, which is what we want. Therefore, we will do 222 divided by 2 equal to 111. Now, this number we know it's not divisible by 2. So, since we cannot divide this number by 2 again, it's not divisible by 8. We could also use another method. To check if a number is divisible by 8, we just have to see if it's divisible by 4 and by 2, because 4 times 2 is 8. So, for the exact same example we've just done, we will take the last 2 digits. We know that a number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is an even number. In this case, 2 is an even number, so it's divisible by 2. And we need to know if it's also divisible by 4. So, to do that, we will check what the divisibility rule was, which in this case was if the 2 last digits were divisible by 4. Let's take the 2 last digits then, 22 over here, and see that 22 is not divisible by 4, because 22 divided by 4 equals 5.5. That is not an integer, therefore not divisible by number 4. So, not divisible by number 8. Number 9. We'll check if a number is divisible by number 9 by summing all the digits of the number. If the result is divisible by number 9, then the first number is divisible by number 9. For example, 319,750 has got as the sum of its digits 3 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5, which equals to 25. And we know 25 is not divisible by 9. Therefore, the first number is not divisible by 9. On the other hand, if we had, for example, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, the sum of the digits of this number is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which equals to 18. And we know 18 is divisible by 9, because 18 divided by 9 equals 2, and is an integer. Therefore, it's divisible by 9. Finally, let's go with number 10. The easiest number of all the divisibility rules. A number, let's say 7,500,450, is divisible by 10 if the last digit is 0. Quite easy, you just have to check one number. This number over here is divisible by 10. This number over here is not divisible by 10, since the last digit is not a 0. However, if you want to know why this divisibility rule is, I'll show you in just 1 minute. 10 equals 2 times 5. So, if a number is divisible by 10, it must be divisible by 2 and by 5. The divisibility rule of number 2 was to have the last digit as an even number. So, the last digit must be 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8. Something similar goes with number 5. The last digit must be 0 or 5. And since both things have to happen at the same time, They only happen when the last digit equals 0. And that's the main reason why the divisibility rule of 10 is having the last number as a 0. I'm gonna draw some dices again, as I did on one of my videos, so that you can get entertained or at least not bored.